I think Dave delivers an incredible message and an incredible value to his audience, which is people that are in debt, or people that are in debt or have spending problems, and both of which I think he does a tremendous job in doing. And so all the people that said I've totally missed it, I asked the question which never got answered in your comments, which was, and for all the Dave Ramsey fans out there, I'd love you to follow along at home and tell me that you did this exact thing. And when we buy an investment property and I say, honey, do you like this one? She says, does the numbers work? I say something like, yes. And she goes, well, then we should probably do it if you like it. Love that answer. Thanks, honey. Now, when we go to buy a primary residence, Cole, I know this might sound crazy. She has slightly more feedback. She wants to see things like the kitchen. Cole, she looks at things like the floor plan. Welcome back to Be Wealthy with Brett Tanner, the episode, Cole, that many said wouldn't come, especially after our last Dave Ramsey episode that did get a little heated on the Intetranet, Cole. Had some fans reach out with some feedback, both positive and negative, and embrace the negative, harness the positive, Cole. That's what it's all about. But excited to jump into that. And actually, we're going to be filming today, Cole, episode 0010. For those that said in that last podcast that we would not make it to episode 10 and I would be canceled, stop traffic, you were wrong. We're back, Cole. We're here, we're ready to go. So we're going to film Dave Ramsey part 2, and I'll dig in because people said I was disconnected, Cole. The word, I was disconnected from Dave's core message, and so I want to actually read directly from his website this time. So I won't have anything get crossed there. I'll read directly the information he's giving you, and you can decide, unless someone's hacked the site, Cole. Have we checked at RamseySolutions.com? Is DaveRamsey.com, has it been hacked? Cole is telling me it has not been hacked. So this is a live update. So in the last, since I've been here, I came back from our KW family reunion. Our company has this annual convention. About 15,000 people took over the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. It was awesome to see all the people there and all of my friends in that family. But we got to have Tony Robbins keynote the event, which was really, really cool. I have been to Tony Robbins. I am the biggest fan of his training and teaching. And I went back, Cole, and I read Unlimited Power. And it had been a long time. I was probably your age, Cole, 24, when I first read Unlimited Power. It is an amazing book. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Unlimited Power so much more now. I appreciated it. I didn't appreciate it enough back then. It's one of those books that you read and it ages well, it gets better. Go read Unlimited Power. But I wanted to share a handful of my takeaways from what Tony Robbins shared. And his Unleash the Power Within, UPW, for those that know it, Walking on Fire. It is an incredible event that I think everyone should experience at some point in their life. But Tony really said in life, we have three main decisions that affect the quality of our lives. So number one, your first decision you get is, what are you going to focus on? You wake up every day, Cole, what are you going to focus on? You can focus on things that are positive, things that are negative. You get to decide what information you're putting into your head. And for a long time, I disconnected from the news. I find when you watch the news online, there's a couple things. Number one, largely it's inaccurate. I know it's crazy to think that CNN or Fox or whatever you listen to might be slanted in a given direction. I don't believe they're all telling you the truth at any level, Cole. I think there's a version of the truth that they're saying that's slanted through their opinions and views. And so you wouldn't need to have any issue to go very far. Then go to Fox, watch the issue, click right over to CNN, watch the issue, and how's the same issue presented totally different? And so where I went with my news consumption is I decided to remain negative. I could choose the information I was allowing in. So I have sites where the information is reputable and I'm choosing to read the information in the way I want it. And so I try to focus on the positive things and not let the negative get into me. So what are you going to focus on? Life hits you. What do you focus on? Cool. The second decision, you got to decide what you're going to focus on. The second thing you're going to say, what does it mean? Right? Because the minute you focus on something, you focus on that moment, you have to decide what it means. So it could be that you're waiting in line at Starbucks to pick up your order, which I'm not against, as Dave Ramsey is, which will come up in a moment. But as I'm waiting in line at Starbucks, I could focus. So I'm standing there, I'm focusing on waiting in line. And the meaning is it that, hey, I've got this 15 minutes that I could check my email. I could meet the person behind me. I could start reading something. I could start listening to a podcast. Obviously, be listening to the Be Wealthy podcast if you're in line. And so I can choose that this is an annoying experience. I'm waiting in line and it could be more efficient, or I could focus on, hey, I've got a moment here that I can get better. I can learn something, or I can experience someone, or I could have a quick call or whatever and connect with someone. And the last part you decide is what are you going to do about it? So once you decide what it means, that, hey, I'm going to use this as an opportunity, then you could take the action and go do something with it. And so I think there's just so many things I could share out of what Tony said, but I thought those 3 decisions were something I wanted to leave you with. Number 1, every day your 3 choices. What are you going to focus on? What does it mean? And what are you going to do? Side note, if you go back to episode 7, the investment that I referenced that I said was a little far-fetched, being in the boat charter business, is coming to fruition. So I should close on that boat here in the next 30 days, Cole. It could probably be sooner than that, but all systems go, as they say. I've only seen it via video. I didn't get a chance to get down there, but I am beyond excited to get out and go get my fishing on, and I'll be sure to upload those photos.
Do you have a name in mind? We've been doing some boat names up here.
First of all, that was a great point. It is interesting. By the way, did you know, Cole, there's a christening process. So when you buy a boat and you remove the boat's old title, there's all these things you need to do, kind of like for like the superstition of Poseidon, if you will. As I'm deep into the, Cole, I'm doing some reading. So when we remove the name, I actually need to find out what the name of the boat is currently, but definitely not going to keep it no matter what it is. Obvious name would be Wealthy, but it's actually going to be, I wore the shirt today, we're going to be Get Free. I think the boat is the ultimate expression, Cole, of me getting free.
No boat pun, though.
Huh?
No boat pun. No fish related.
They do recommend, like
Poseidon won't hurt you.
Like if you're a surgeon, not your way or something, the KNOT, ha ha ha. I'm more just of a simple kind of get free kind of guy. So go check that episode out. That episode's not all about boat investing. It's investments you hadn't heard of and to think a little differently about your money. And so today I want to jump into Dave Ramsey part 2. And we're just going to talk about 3 major things. Number 1, what is his core beliefs? Because again, the detractors out there and the Dave Ramsey fans all said that I had it totally wrong. And I want to be really clear. I think Dave delivers an incredible message and an incredible value to his audience, which is people that are in debt. His core audience, right, are people that had spending problems, Total Money Makeover. I've actually read his book. So those that I'm not knowledgeable, it's actually published this information in a book. And I read it. I didn't, Cole, I'm going to tell you why I did the book. I actually read it. I didn't listen on Audible, so I can't say how it would go there. Not a big Audible fan. I'm a big book reading, book out fan. And so in that book, a lot of the things I reference are in that exact book. So his core audience are people that are in debt or have spending problems, and both of which I think he does a tremendous job in doing. And so all the people that said I've totally missed it, I asked the question, which never got answered in your comments, which was, once you paid off your debt and once you had your financial world going, walk me through the 5 to 10 things that Dave shared with you on your wealth building journey that added a lot of value. I'd love to learn what they are. And I ask it not in a condescending way, but like to explain to me, maybe I'm missing some of it. And that's where I think his teaching falls a little flat. And as we go through today, I'm going to point out the points where I agree and disagree. And again, I'm getting this from Ramsey.com. So if this site was hacked, then Cole, this could be bad information. But I believe it's the same thing that was in the books also. And I don't know how to, Cole, AI has not figured out how to hack books. They haven't done it. They're not, I'm going to tell you, Cole, as of right now, and I'm checking it, you fact check me if I'm wrong, AI is not hacking books.
Can they hack Audible though?
I don't know.
They're just as safe.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna have to take some of our listeners' word for it because I don't use Audible, so I wouldn't know. Do you need a real estate lender you can trust? You need a hard money lender you can trust. Isn't that the real challenge, right? Especially right now. You see so many lenders, they're really not lending. They've got they require 50% down. They're not lending on this product. It's got to land in some really weird box. Well, today's sponsor is my own company, Versara Capital. We are a lender in Arizona and a handful of other states. If you're looking for a lender that can close quickly, give you a straight answer, and make it happen at the lowest possible rates, that's what we do. It's all of our own money. We don't have outside capital. We can make a decision that makes cognitive sense. And unlike other lenders who don't lend on things like commercial buildings or mobile homes or certain pieces of land, we lend on the deal if it makes sense. Reach out to us at versaracapital.com and see what we can do for you. If you're interested in more information, click the link in the description. All right, but jumping in. So number 1, here is Dave Ramsey's baby steps. This is the fundamental teachings that he has. And no matter where you are, you need to walk through these baby steps in order. And I actually agree with overwhelming with a lot of them. So we'll see where we do. So number 1, baby step number 1, Cole, save $1,000 for your emergency starter fund. And for the sake of this conversation, let's all pretend we're living paycheck to paycheck. We have $300 in our checking account. We have a job, we're employed, and we're in credit card debt and car debt. Okay. And so I want to get everyone on the same page. And so, because that is his core audience. I'm not saying the $300 a checking account part, because I don't want to get, I don't want to get lit up online. I'm just saying, let's just pretend that we're that person and that's a part of the core audience. And so, number one, save $1,000. The first thing you should do, I agree, life happens. We are going to have the things that come up. We need to save money. I think $1,000 might be light, but let's get to the point where we've got enough money saved up to have a fund, a resource that we could use to solve life's problems, right? It can be a brake repair. It could be something that happens in your life. It could be you need to help someone out. But there are times in our lives where we need $1,000 or more, and I agree with that. So step 2, Cole, so 1, we're good. 2, pay off all debt except the house. I would agree. I would say, he says the house, because he's talking there. I believe that any debt attached to something that doesn't cash flow, where with reasonable reserves, you'd have a savings set up for that particular investment. And beyond that, right, if you have debt on it, it is cash flow, durable cash flow. Like I look at debt, if you decide to put debt on a hard money loan, that would be okay. So cash flow, if you had reserves and coverage, understand the risk that you're actually taking. So pay off all debt. I think you should pay off all your bad debt. So bad debt, the way I would define it, is things that are not attached to positive cash flow with reserves that are durable, that can live on. So yes, credit card debt, car debt, student loan debt, all those things. I believe you should get out of debt. Debt is taking money from your future. So I agree there. Next thing, you should save 3 to 6 months of expenses. I agree. I totally agree. I say of your burn rate. So again, where we disagree on expenses, Dave's thing is cut all of the fun out of your budget, get as low as you possibly can. And yes, the more things you could cut out, the faster you'll get there. What I've found about people is if you take your budget and someone they're making $4,000 a month and their expenses are $4,000 a month, yes, do they need to figure out how they get that down to $3,700 or whatever? Yes. But trying to cut that down to $2,800 removes all of the joy in your life. Instead, I believe that your income opportunity is unlimited. There is no limit on the max of your income. There are people that make hundreds of millions of dollars per year. So taking your income from $40,000 to $100,000 is not impossible. Millions and millions of people have done it. So there's no limit on the upward possibility of your income. Yet you can only save, if you're spending $40,000 per year, Cole, fact, you can only save a maximum of $40,000. That would be your expenses are zero, and that's impossible. So as you save, though, the more you save, at some point, the savings comes at the expense of joy. You are cutting out the things, and I agree, fine, cut out some stuff. I get the money you're wasting. If you're getting DoorDash every day and you're getting delivery all the time and you're getting bottle service, yeah, that's the stuff you can cut. I don't know that you need to cut out Netflix, Cole, for $12 if that brings you tremendous joy. So I think you should save 3 to 6. I think you should save 6 months of your burn rate. Your burn rate is the money that you're naturally already spending. One thing I know that everyone that's watching this is likely comfortable. I'm not saying you're living your wildest fantasy, but you are comfortable spending the money that you're spending right now. So knowing that, why don't we take that amount of money, and every month we're going to have a checking account here. We're going to drop that money down and we're going to see what happens at the end of the month. At the end of the month, do we have more money or more month left? If you've got more month left, what we learn is your burn rate's not the right number. We're trying to lock into that. I think you want to get 6 months of that. So I agree there. Invest 15% of your household income. I would push for more. Again, the difference of my messaging is I'm focused on abundance and not scarcity. And if you read the articles and you go through Dave Ramsey, you go through the article links that we're going to put in the show notes and ask yourself, are these written in abundance or are they written in scarcity? And it's all written in scarcity. And I have not found a single thing in my life that improved by focusing on scarcity. So 15% of your income, I actually think you can be more, because if you're in this example, if you were managed to take your expenses, you're making $40,000 and you got them down to where you were spending $35,000 per year. So you're freeing up $5,000. Rather than trying to get you down to $28,000 per year, I would rather you focus and ask the question of, how do I go take my income from $40,000 to $80,000? Because if we can keep your expenses the same, we've actually got an extra $40,000 versus going from $35,000 to $28,000 is $7,000. Now, I know that's not rocket science, Cole, to figure out what I just said, that $40,000 is greater than $7,000. Yet people spend their entire lives focusing on the $7,000. You can only save so much. Instead of cutting the thing that gave you joy, what if you enjoyed it? Get your Starbucks and read a book on how to improve your skills and how to grow your life. It's all about asking different questions. You're going to get the answer. How do I save more money? Yes, you need to save money. Why don't you say, how do I double my income? And that be the thing you repeat every single day. Again, there's no limit on the upward mobility of your income. So I think you can save more than 15%. So I disagree a little bit there. Save for your children's college fund. The best way to save your children's college fund is becoming wealthy yourself. Okay. Yes, I'm not, because most folks invest in a 529 plan, right? Would you put in money and you pay after-tax dollars? It comes out of their tax, so all the returns are tax-free, and you can buy college. That's awesome. By the way, if you do this the right way and you invested in a piece of real estate when your child was born, by the time that they get to college, number one, they could live in that house if they want. You could sell the house and pay for college. Investing in the correct assets is the answer. A 529 plan is not going to save you anything. If you can't save money and you don't do things right, you're not going to have the money to do college or anything that you wanted. So why not make the right decisions? And looking at it as college, we're going to have other expenses in our life beyond college. And so having a method to become wealthy, meaning I'm going to invest X amount of dollars, makes a lot more sense than parking them in vehicles that dictate what they're invested in, right? I don't love mutual funds and ETFs. I'm not saying it's bad. If you're looking for the easiest way to build wealth, there's a really great book. It's called The Simple Path to Wealth. We can link it in the show notes. And it's all about buying the Vanguard Total Market Index. And you're just buying basically every stock in America. And over a 30-year period, it's going to go slowly like this. It's awesome. You could set it and forget it. You never got to think about it. And it's a really good way to land in, you would end up being wealthy. But I think there's better things you could do, right? I like to bet. I think that everyone has an unfair advantage. We've covered that in a lot of episodes. And unlocking your unfair advantage, you can go back to episode 2, and we'll link the other episodes where we reference that. There's ways that you can get better returns. And then as you get wealthy, you're likely going to want to look at your taxes and other strategies around it. So investing only in mutual funds might not be the matter, because I doubt that everyone on here is the foremost authority when it comes to mutual funds. I know that I'm not. And so I have $0 in the stock market because I invest it where I have my unfair advantage. Next thing he says, so we're saving for the kids' college fund. I disagree. I think there's a better way to do that. If you are going to invest through a college fund, I would recommend a Coverdell. Why do I like a Coverdell? Because you can actually self-direct it, and you could put it into the investments that we talk about, which would be where you have your unfair advantage. My kids do have a Coverdell account, and they invest alongside me into deals that make sense. He talks about paying off your home early. I think it depends. Right, Cole, should you pay off your home? Yeah, it's a great strategy, but right now I carry debt on my primary residence. I have a 3.35% jumbo rate, Cole, on my home. Now, why would I put additional dollars down, Cole? So mortgage rates today, we just looked, 30-year fixed mortgage, not on a jumbo rate, for the average sales price home, $500,000 in Arizona, 7.01 is the average 30-year fixed rate as we film this today in March. I have a 3.35% on a jumbo, which we'll just pretend those things are the same. And so I can go in treasury bills and get over 5%. So why would I, Cole, pay additional money down that yields less return? Now, again, if you're planning on torching all your money and lighting it on fire, you should always put your money in the hands of other people, i.e. put it in a 529 plan, send it to your financial advisor, get in some pension plan you can't touch. Get your money very far away from you if you're going to light it on fire. But if you've got to have enough discipline. What creates wealth is discipline. So you've got to have enough discipline to get there. The only way to do that is to actually get control of your life and make decisions that make cognitive sense. So paying down your home, if their interest rate was 9%, Cole, or 8%, yeah, I think that's pretty smart. Paying it off now at a 3.35% interest rate, I totally disagree. And lastly, number 7, Cole, if you follow steps 1 through 6, which were, there's a few missing gaps in between there. But if you get to number 7, kaboom, Cole, you're there. Ready? You know what number 7 is? Build wealth and give. Huh? There you go. You get to number 7. I don't know what happens between paying your home off early and then while you, bam, build wealth and give, but boy, does it sound cool. So as we're on this journey, that might be step 47 on Brett's list, because I think you're going to have a few more wealth building things. But let's see, as we jump into today's episode, let's just see, Cole, do we unlock this strategy that we're missing? Because I am interested. So number 1, we're going to buy a home. And Dave says that a 15-year mortgage is the way to go. For those that say he doesn't say that, again, I'm on daveramsey.com, and unless it was hacked, I'm going to read directly from what's on the site. Here are the main reasons that we teach buyers to choose a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year. Number 1, Cole, there's, let me see how many reasons there are here. There's 3 really good ones, Cole. There's 3 reasons.
That's all you need. You just need the 3.
That's all it is. Number 1, you're going to save tens of thousands of dollars. And the way you do it is because, Cole, a 15-year mortgage is going to get paid in half the time of a 30-year. That's what they're saying on the site. Now I'm going to go in a minute to my calculator. We're going to verify that.
15 is half of 30 so far.
I know, but then you got months, and then what do you do?
Step 6 to step 7.
Well, that's 7 and beyond. So now, okay, I'm here. So a 15-year mortgage is going to save you tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, okay, because of the 15-year, because you're paying off really cool. Now, the average person lives in their home less than about 7.5 years and trades up or trades down. So we're not going to get into that part of it, but we're just going to pretend that everyone just slowly. You know what I hear the story all the time, Cole, is people just are like they're paying their mortgage and they get to payment 180. They're like 179, kaboom, 180. It's paid off. And by the way, in the comments, why don't we just, how many people have paid a 30-year mortgage for 360 payments straight and then sent that last one in? I would love to see in the comments how many people you've met in your entire life, of anyone you ever talked to. So now, anyone you've ever talked to or yourself, how many people have paid 360 consecutive payments? Because, Cole, even if they stay in their home, what do people do, Cole? They
refinance.
Well, thank you. Because those are audience. That wasn't an audience at home. That was Cole, who is in the sound booth, by the way, joined by Cole today.
We remodeled a bit in here. Last episode, you might have noticed there was a few different scenario.
Different, and you do have, we
have plans. We have a subscribe button.
I got to tell you what, I didn't even, and I'm not even doing my job. We've got a subscribe button, and that's on Baby Yoda, and that's hip. We're hip. We're training. I don't know how we have a Baby Yoda. And I know how we got the subscribe thing up there. It looks like it's in my handwriting.
We also have I don't know if you noticed this, a Brett and Taylor Tanner family
a family photo in a pot. And boy, if that camera ever slips and tilts the other way, it's a total disaster because there's a thing of silver bullets over there and a whole bunch of other stuff. But so, Cole, we got to get real here. So, okay, we're going to save tens of thousands of dollars because 15 years, right? Big deal. You're going to build equity in your home faster. Okay, well, if you pay more towards principal, that will do it. I mean, that's logical. I get that. But he says, one way to build wealth, the value of your home minus what you own it, is to pay back the principal of your loan faster rather than just interest. Since you're making bigger payments, you'll pay down the interest a lot faster, which means your payment will go to principal every month. On the flip side, smaller payments on a 30-year will have you paying down the interest a lot slower, so less of your payment will go to the principal. Okay, got it? And, now we're getting into saving tens of thousands of dollars. Is because he's saying now we pay it off in half the time. That's where we save the money. So it's kind of a two-parter, but you do save, and I'm sure you reference this on the site. You will save money on the interest rate. There's a difference. Luckily for everyone watching here today, we did some of the math. And so the math is today, and I've got to get my handy 10BII financial calculator. I use this constantly. So today, if we were to go so why wouldn't we look at, Cole, how does this work in the real world? Right? Let's go to, I don't know, March of 2024 and just do a little comparison of Dave's advice. And for all the Dave Ramsey fans out there, I'd love you to follow along at home and tell me that you did this exact thing. And I want to hear that, Cole. So we're going to do a $500,000 house. And if we bought this house on a 30-year fixed mortgage, as of today, the rates are 7.01%. That's not the best rate ever, Cole. That's a national average. Because I know that people will fact check this. We're going to buy a $500,000 home. We're going to put $80,000 down. Your payment, your principal and interest payment only, this does not include tax insurance, is $2,700, Cole, and $97 per month. $2,797. Now, because you go to a 15-year mortgage, the rate is less. You pay less interest. There is an incentive to get a 15-year mortgage as opposed to a 30-year. And so what does that do? Today it's 6.53% is that average. So 6.53, we're going to change that. And then we're going to change the months, Cole. And they tell me in our fact checkers online, tell me the difference in a 30-year mortgage, which is 360 payments, to a 15-year. They tell me that's 180 payments. That's what they tell me. And so now the new mortgage, same down payment, so it's still a $420,000 loan amount at 6.53% on a 15-year, is $3,665. So I'm going to do some quick math here. The difference between $3,665 and $2,797 is $868 a month. So your payment will be $868 more per month. Now, here's the part we don't talk about in Dave Ramsey's. So number one, I do believe you should put 20% down because I don't like paying PMI. So if you're going to save, I think property mortgage insurance is basically a tax on people with a lack of down payment. That's all it is, right? It stands for a lot more things, but they're charging you because you didn't have enough money down at greater risk for the lender. So they're placing that on you. And it's basically on a loan like this, and I'm guessing it's probably around $300 a month on a $420,000 loan on something that you will pay forever. So that's in addition to this payment you see here. So the other thing Dave's not talking about, because your payment was higher, you're going to buy less home. So as your payment goes up, banks look at you and they're going to prove you on your total debt, the debt of this included your other debts, to your income ratio, right? They're actually looking at, Cole, can you afford to pay us back? I know it's crazy, but banks like to loan money to people that can pay them back. And they charge you more if they think there's a chance you might not pay them back. And so if you look at this, so whenever you go and increase your payment by that $868, what's going to happen is you're going to have to buy a smaller home. Now, to Dave's point, which is all about pay everything off, go conservative, get the cheapest possible thing, yes, that will work to get you out of your total debt faster. My argument, though, Cole, is it also brings less joy. If you thought a $500,000 home, you're like, oh, Brett, you and your luxury talk on this podcast, a $500,000 home is the average sales price today in Arizona. I think it's crazy expensive. It's actually the average sales price. And so now if you're going to reduce that, like if you've got to come down to now buy a $400,000 home or $375,000 so you can hit the 15-year, Cole, my argument is that house isn't going to feel the same. As someone who sold over $3 billion worth of real estate, as we're filming this as a real estate agent, I could tell you what I haven't seen a lot of people walk into a $500,000 home and go, you know what would be really great is a $350,000 version that's about 60% of this thing. I've never heard anyone say it. So again, there's the reality. Yes, the best thing for us to do would all go build tents on land that we bought for $5,000 and throw up some solar grids and live for free. But that's not probably what's going to make us most happy, Cole. And so I'm not saying to go out there and torture money for torturing money's sake, but I am saying that I think some of this advice is problematic. So for all those that got a 15-year mortgage and loved it, because when rates were at, I have 3.35% on my mortgage and you got 3.0, and on a 15-year, but then you refinanced it later and now you're up at 6 or 7 most likely. But I didn't. I kept mine at 3.35 because I didn't pay it down and I had the money going to investments that made sense. And as rates change, I adjust because I can make a logical decision based on math and not emotion and not the teachings of someone who got in trouble in debt and then tells you debt's bad. Debt's not bad. Debt's just a tool. And tools can be used the right way and tools can be used the wrong way. Over leverage and too much debt is terrible. We all get that, right? Credit card debt's bad. Car debt's bad. I totally get all that. But I don't think that debt always is always bad. And so if you look at the average, first-time home buyer today, I don't think that's realistic in standing up for a 15-year mortgage, especially with real estate prices and affordability. I don't think this advice works today. So now I want to go look at what does he tell us about investing in real estate. So let's go. We went through the seven baby steps that got a few gaps between 6 and 7. We went through the 15-year versus the 30-year. And now let's go, Cole. We're at the point where let's invest in some real estate. Let's really do this thing and let's go big. So there's 6 simple steps here, Cole. There's only 6. And we're going to talk strategy. Your first investment property should be your primary home. Now, see, I'm already confused. I don't even know what that means because I own a number of rental properties, Cole, and I'm going to walk you through a difference. Because, Cole, as you go down the road and you have a partner, mine's my lady friend, Taylor Tanner. And when we buy an investment property and I say, honey, do you like this one? She says, does the numbers work? And I say something like, yes. And she goes, well, then we should probably do it if you like it. Love that answer. Thanks, honey. Now, when we go to buy a primary residence, Cole, I know this might sound crazy. She has slightly more feedback. She wants to see things like the kitchen. Cole, she looks at things like the floor plan. I know this is crazy things. Like she looked at the backyard. Like, like the direction of the home. You know what I mean? Like it matters to her. Like garage space. I'm going to tell you what, she's never once asked me, Brett, in that investment property we have, how many garages are there? Are there enough garages for the tenant stuff? It's never come up. She's never asked about the floor plan. I've got some of the, I don't like to brag. I think some of my rental properties have some of the worst floor plans I've ever seen. Okay, but so in a primary residence, what I've said, I don't think there's anything about investing in a primary residence. I actually, Cole, this is going to sound crazy. This may break the internet, Cole, with this. I've never tried to make money in my primary residence. Why? Because we make decisions that make no cognitive sense. Example, I just built a pickleball court in my backyard that will absolutely, the next buyer will pay $0 for this. And guess what? It brings me tremendous joy. I can't be more excited about their playing pickleball. But my point is that it's an emotional decision. I'm doing it for me, and I'm doing it for the reasons to me. I don't go to my primary residence and say, boy, I really hope this skyrockets in value. Yeah, I'd like to own it over the long haul, Cole, and I'd like it to go up in value. But it's not my investment thesis of how I'm going to become wealthy was buying one primary residence because I was an investment shark. Why? Because we all have a partner, and we're all human beings, and we're all going to make emotional decisions. And as it comes to your personal life, I think you lean into that and try to make the most smart one you can and realize that some of your personal things are going to be around happiness, and your dollars that you invest are there for investment purposes. And those dollars can have total logic and zero emotion based in them. So as you go through this, when he says your first investment property is your primary residence, I don't think that's true. And if you've ever built a pool in your primary residence that costs $80,000 and then they give you a $15,000 in the appraisal, you probably know that that wasn't the most shrewd investment I've ever seen, Cole. Cole, I'm not a wizard on this, but if we spend 80 and then they give us 15, how do we make money? Do we make it up in value? Do we make it up in volume? I don't think you lose money on this one. If you do a lot of this, you do it enough times and show the market's big enough, you can go public and people really buy it. So, all right, Cole. So number one in investments, obviously goes without saying, pay cash. Again, this is from the website because people say he doesn't say that. Unless it was hacked, he says, yep, you read that right. You should always pay cash in full.
He even clarifies, you did hear that right. This is not hacked. That's what you heard. Okay.
Anytime you buy or rent investment properties, cash in full. Don't even think about going into debt for this! Exclamation point. Now, our advice might be the opposite from you'll hear from some of these real estate investing gurus. But the truth is, there's no such thing as good debt. Agree to disagree. Debt always equals risk. That is true. That is true. Debt does equal risk. And the riskier your investment, why does it have to be risky? Put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. The more likely you are to lose everything. Dave, that's how you lost the money, man. And I went to a restaurant once, Cole, and I don't tell a story all the time. I went to a restaurant once, and I know this is going to shock people. I had a bad meal of food. I had an experience to where I had a sandwich. It was a French dip. It's one of my favorite places, by the way. And I went in there and I ate it immediately. I left, Cole, and I didn't feel well. Okay? I was a little sick. Honestly, I was. I'm not even kidding, Cole. It's a real story. And as a result of that bad French dip, I did not stop eating food. To this day, I have continued to eat food. And by the way, you know what I did? Chalked it up to a bad day, went back in there. I still eat the French dip there. It's just one day it wasn't great. So just because Dave got crushed with debt doesn't mean you're going to get crushed with debt. It does not mean that. All it means is that unnecessary risk is unnecessary. And that if you're buying smart investments that have cash flow, you've done your due diligence, you have reserves, and you're playing from a place where you have a plan with cash reserves, again, the due diligence, you've done all the right things, you've taken as much of the risk as you can of investment. We all have to take risks in our life. Everything we do is risk. Your only job as an investor is to correctly price the risk to the investment. An investment that promises 35% plus returns has insane risks because that's the only way you can generate those types of returns. And so when you really think about you're going to save up for your first investment property, I can tell you I didn't do that. Today, do I buy properties for cash? All of the time. But I didn't get here by being able to do that. Today, the reason I pay all cash, Cole, for a lot of the investments because they actually don't make sense to take on investment rate debt at 8 or 9%. That is very, very hard to make cash flow and to find a 10 or 11% cap rate property. So I can't do that. So I can't say to sit here and pay cash when I didn't do that and I became really wealthy from investing in real estate by not doing it. Did I take unnecessary risk? No. Did I get smashed in 2008? Not because of debt. I got smashed because my investment model was stupid and it was speculative. Instead of basing it on numbers, I based things on emotion back then. And so I still think you have a plan paying cash for all your investments. If you save up and do that, is it safe? Yes. Does it take forever? Probably. When the average person has a hard time saving any money at all, I think saving hundreds of thousands of dollars of it before you make an investment is challenging. And so diversify. You've always heard the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. This wisdom applies to your investments. When you reach a specific step in your finances, more on that later, we teach you that you should invest 15% of your household into retirement accounts. And inside those accounts, you should use good old mutual funds as the foundation for your wealth building strategy. And after that's locked and loaded, you can start investing in real estate. And don't cash out your retirement savings to buy property or anything new. Your real estate fund should be separate. Okay, so diversify. There's two arguments here, right? Diversify. Put everything in a lot of things. There's another school of thought that says put all your eggs in one basket and just manage the basket. And I've gone that route, right? My vehicle for investing happens to be real estate. I have an unfair advantage as I am a real estate agent in a specific market and understand other markets across the country. And so it is not that hard to learn another market. Does it take work? Sure. And so I look at this and say, I've made all of my money by putting my eggs in one basket. I would actually argue that Dave has done the exact same thing. Dave made 100% of his money by putting all of his eggs in the content basket of talking to people who have debt and who have spending problems and getting them out of debt. And so this isn't all a Dave Ramsey knock. I'm really reading his information and say he does a tremendous service. Dave, if you're watching, I know you're not, but if you are, what you do for people that are in debt is valuable. And I think you've done a great job. And I think if you own that space, that's wonderful. But along the way, you wanted to monetize your audience. And so you started selling real estate leads and mortgage leads and other things. And you did that. And you had to bend the message a little to try to hit a bigger, wider audience so you could actually make money and do it. And if we could just be honest about it, that's what happened. And that's totally cool. I have an issue around the transparency around it. I don't think the advice is all good for all people. And I think that you should listen to this, and I think you should go read the links we're going to put in the show notes and go listen to my other episodes, and don't take one just of itself, and ask yourself if I'm investing in you and believing in what you could do in your own model, or if you think this scarcity mindset's better for you. And then pick your person. By the way, you're not paying for this podcast. Cole, we're not sponsored. I want to be sponsored by Viore. I want to be sponsored by Fluid Board and all the other cool things out there, like Tyga boats or just something cool just for name. But Cole, we're doing this to actually help people think differently and dispel the financial myths, because people are out there talking about things they haven't actually done. Dave did not make his money by being an investor. He invested money once he had a lot of it. I made all of my money. Cole, I got tied up here. Oh, Cole. I made all of my money actually doing the thing I'm telling you to do, which was I made it as a real estate agent. I made it invested in real estate, lending, and things tied to houses. All right, next, Dave said, number 3, we're on our third step here, Cole, stay local. Think global, stay local. So stay local. I don't buy a property in Arizona if you live in Illinois. I'll tell you, that's actually not great advice. Because if you're watching this and you're sitting in San Diego and you say, let's just save all cash to buy an investment property, and we only need a crisp 1.4 million, just save that up, and then we jump from step 6 to 7 and you build and give it all away. It's going to take a couple clicks, right? It's going to take a couple beats for us to get there. And so the best thing I ever did, and it actually closed yesterday, Cole, so I can speak intelligently about it. And it'll actually probably be our next episode, talking about some properties that I sold in Alabama. I bought properties around U.S. manufacturing. Mazda Toyota is going in. I bought those homes. I've sold 21 of them as of right now. And I am 1031 exchanging that into a triple net investment, like a Starbucks or something like that. And I made a tremendous amount of money by moving out of my market. So staying local, do I think your first investment should probably be local? Sure. I don't know that you should be there forever. Or if your market is San Diego or high price, your first investment may not be there. It may not, because it may actually not make sense. It might be good to hire a management group, a property manager, even if you're local, to help things run smoothly. Not a good idea, like the idea. See, this is, again, you're getting information said to you by someone that doesn't actually own real estate as an investment. And so, Cole, if you don't own it, you're like, wow, maybe do it yourself. Stay local, think global. But you're not actually asking the question of course I should need management. Of course I should need a great real estate agent. Of course I need great contractors and vendors. And of course I want to try to get great tenants. Right? A great property manager is worth their weight in gold. And I will tell you that it's not even a cost. There's no cost in life. There are good and bad investments. There's no cost. Step 4, and this is step 4 on really how to get wealthy and how to invest in real estate in 4 steps. So number 4, be prepared for risk, Cole. Usually renting out a property isn't as simple as getting renters in there and checking in once a year. Cole, if you read that online, boy, are you wrong. You're in for a shock. So Dave tells us that, hold on, I lost step 4, that sometimes rentals sit empty for months They go for months, Cole, which can be tough if you're not financially prepared. And even the best situations, appliances still break and roofs leak. They do. The best way to prepare for the risk and unexpected is with a fully funded emergency fund. Yes, you should have a reserve, but it's not all tenants and trash. That's not what it's all about. So again, I tell you, and my dad, he said, hey, I gave you the worst advice ever. And my dad's one of my mentors. He said, I told you not to invest in real estate and you did it anyway. I said, I think I probably started investing it because you told me not to. But his thing was that it's nothing but toilets and tenants. And I have this voice I do for my dad. It's the Nutty Professor, which I got to tell you, he loved growing up. And he said, Brett, if you invest in the real estate, it's nothing but tenants, toilets, and trash. That's all it is. I'm like, where did you learn this 3T model of investing in tenants, toilets, and trash, Dad? I mean, what do you? Well, that's just what they say. That's what people say about it. I'm like, well, okay, I don't think that's entirely true. I've never, have I had a roof leak, but roofs still leak? Yeah, of course roofs leak, but I haven't had like something flowing in like we had a waterfall in a living room or something. I mean, if I had a car drive through the front door and end up in the middle of the house, sure, that happened once, but it was an insurance issue and it was a long time ago. But so be prepared for risk. Yes, things are going to happen. Again, it's appliances break, but all of these things, first of all, you can get an inspection. You could know lots of it. Properties don't sit vacant for months on end. Now, with poor management or poor management, yes, could you have it sit vacant for lots of months? Of course, that could happen. Next, he says, start small. Cole, start small. So number 5, not sure if it's investing for you. Let's just say real estate's not ready for you. You got to test it. So maybe you can rent out a space above your garage or an extra bedroom. And I'm reading this, I'm not even adding it into it, even for a few nights at a time. That'll give you a taste of what owning a rental's like. It's also wise to talk to other real estate investors. Get lunch with them and ask them what they wish they would known before they got started. This is actual verbiage. Maybe you can rent out a space above your garage or an extra bedroom. That is as close to real estate investing, Cole, as a skateboard is to a Ferrari. Both are modes of transportation. Both will get you from A to B. Both will, but they're not the same thing. I think we can agree, Cole, that a skateboard is not a Ferrari. Now, we may disagree in the comments. I'm dying to see skateboard or Ferrari. But renting your space above your garage or an extra bedroom. I got to tell you, what I haven't had is a tenant in my spare bedroom. Oh, hey, honey, who's that? That's Jason. He's here for 3 nights. And we're kind of running a little bed and breakfast out of here. So, honey, if you don't mind tomorrow, you whip up some eggs and I'll make the bacon. It's going to be wild. So that's not real estate investing. I don't know what the hell that is. That's Airbnb, which I also blasted. I think Airbnb is perfect for people that are bad at math. It's supposed to be a hilarious joke. We'll give you plenty of time to give us those comments in the back. And by the way, if you're liking what you're hearing and you want some raw truth, now's the time to smash that subscribe, Cole. Hit the like, smash the subscribe, because we're on to number 6, which is the one I do agree with. Hire a real estate agent. Thanks, Dave. But Dave's saying that because he gives leads to real estate agents. I'm telling you that because actually great agents are fantastic people. They should be a part of your wealth team. Why? Because they sell lots of real estate, the thing you're buying, and they have a tremendous amount of insight based on the number of transactions they've done. Now, Cole, I'm going to tell you, I didn't know tremendous amounts when I first got started. I know I go to real estate school and they go 90 hours and I'm getting started, but everyone's got to start. So you get a great broker, you get a great mentor. They're helping you get those deals done. Now, having sold over $3 billion of the real estate, Cole, I know a few things about home buying and selling. I've had a few bumps and bruises, and a great real estate agent is worth their absolute weight in gold. Now, do you need to get one from Dave Ramsey and so he gets a rip off the top and a referral fee? No, you don't. You can go find a great one in your market, get a referral from someone you know that is buying investment real estate. By the way, your real estate agent, I'll probably get blasted for this too. Your real estate agent should be investing in real estate. And if they're not, right, I might not use that person for investment real estate, right? Just a concept. All right. So the fact checking that we got in the comments from last time was that Dave doesn't say to eat beans and rice all the time. He says, once you're out of debt, get off those beans and rice and just lose yourself. You can now add a protein to the bean and rice in addition to the protein of the beans. So he kind of says that, but it's all scarcity driven. Go to the website. We're going to link in the show notes, and I want you to read it and see, is this written for abundance or is this written for scarcity? He says you can have a mortgage on your house. He says you can, but it should be 15-year, but you really should pay cash. If you're going to not do that, then do something that also doesn't make sense. Get a 15-year mortgage. By the way, if you want to get a 30 or 15-year mortgage, get a 30-year mortgage and then pay it off in 15. You can always add the difference to it. But what does it give you? Flexibility. If your life changes, you had a need, that $868 I gave the example earlier might come in pretty handy, Cole, if you needed it. And in the months that you have extra money, you could put that down. But I don't think there's a single person that's going to watch that's going to disagree with that concept. And the extra savings and interest rate isn't worth the risk that Dave Ramsey uses the word risk, isn't worth the risk of the higher payment. And it's not worth living in a crappier house. It's not going to make you as happy. Because I find out you're going to be much more successful if you're enjoying your life. So we can go read that. Lastly, says you don't have to live cheapsake for cheapsake all the time. At some point, you can take a vacation, Cole. At some point, when this plan is just in between steps 6 and 7, which in between steps 6 and 7, I got to get it here. In between paying off your home early and then building wealth and giving, just that one little step there that's just ever so small. You can enjoy yourself. You can treat yourself to a moderately priced vacation. And so with that, my point that I'm making here is listen to all this and do what's best for you. But go out and ask yourself if anything I presented today doesn't make cognitive sense to you, because I know that it will, because I had to learn all this stuff, not because I was smart, because I did it the wrong way. I have listened to people like Dave. I didn't get a 15-year mortgage. People told me, oh, Brett, you'll pay it off so much sooner. Yeah, you eliminate all the cash flow on your investment real estate too. That's the part they don't tell you, which you know what that does? Creates more risk. I learned that because I actually did some of the mortgages. And I didn't listen to Dave, but I listened to someone else who was equally goofy on that in that standpoint. And so, again, I love Dave's. I want to repeat this because I know I'm going to get lit up, and we're going to mark moment now. Mark the moment for the editor, because we need to go back. And where I said Dave does a great job. So if you're listening to this, you're in debt and you have car debt and you have student loan debt and credit card debt, and you need to understand that you do need to live less expensive day to get out of debt. He is your go-to guy. He is your go-to guy. For all the people that says, oh, Brett, I wouldn't want you to step in the podcast or sparring ring with Dave. Anytime, anywhere, Dave, I'm ready. I'm in wealth fitness shape right now. So if you want to step in the ring and talk about wealth building, I got to tell you, my wildest fantasy. Let's go. I'm happy to come to your office. All right. We want to go with that. Cole, so much information. I think this is going to be clear the air and just smooth sailing from here on in with the Dave thing. But I want to go to our Facebook group. So go join our Facebook group. We're going to put a link in there where you can join and ask questions. And my old college buddy here, so it's very rare when you recognize a name I haven't seen him in person in over 20 years. He says he wants to learn more about originating hard money loans and notes and 10 books to read about it. The fundamental book, right? I always talk about the Banker's Code. A buddy of mine now wrote a really great book, and wrote the book, in my opinion, which is the Banker's Code. He also wrote Debt Millionaire, I think, or the Debt Code. And you get those two other books from George Anton. We'll drop them in the show notes too. But all those books really anchor in some of the concepts we're teaching here, which are spreads, risk, and loan constant, right? He goes into those concepts. Do we have them yet, Cole?
We have the Debt Millionaire, and then we have the Wealthy Code.
Everyone should go read. I would read Banker's Code, Debt Millionaire, Wealthy Code. All those books are great. The next book I would go read would be a book called Invest in Debt by Jimmy Napier, Napier. We'll drop a link in the show notes there. And when you're doing that book, you've got to get the 10BII calculator. I have the app on my phone. It is one of the most used apps on my phones, and I calculate different rates of return for different time frames on investments. If you have the app and you buy the book, Invest in Debt, and as they're doing the stories in the book, you can go do the calculations. It will teach you how to use the calculator to model out financial returns. And Andrew, that is how I would learn about the hard money lending business to get started. All right. Our next person's name is Stellanios Armaios. I'm going to be firm on that. I know I've nailed it.
Nailed it.
Thank you, Cole. We'll have to show that name in here. Maybe we won't because we can't, but I think I've nailed it. When paying your kids, how does it show up on your financial statement? When paying your kids, how does it show up on a financial statement? Expense to what account and what are they paid for? So I would recommend setting up a family management company, get with your CPA. The reason you want to do that is you could pay your kids and you could avoid the payroll tax if you structured it correctly, but it's a little complicated. We can't actually just jump into it here, but ask your CPA how to do it. They'll give you the exact answer. Keep in mind, this is for your kids working in your business, doing real jobs at reasonable wages, that you're documenting the actual work they're doing. They're actually doing the work. So you got to make sure you're doing that. Make sure you do it right. That money would come out of this family management company and actually into their checking account. And then you could use that money to pay for things you're already paying for them if you wanted. You could use it for cheer, but you can't just take the money and sweep it back out in your account or not really pay them. I mean, it's got to be legitimate. They got to be doing real work. You also ask, how do you find your financial Sherpa? You look for an RIA. Right? A registered investment advisor might be the place to go, but you're looking for someone. What you're looking for is a fee per service. You're paying them X amount of dollars to do this project, not that the investment, you're paying all the expenses out of the investment, you really can't see it. That's where you get overtaxed. But the question is, would it be smart to build up capital at a young age in my 20s? I watched your videos whenever I should put in a high yield savings account invested. I have over $20,000 in a savings account. Now, you should 100% save that money in a high yield savings account for right now. I would go back and watch the episode on the burn rate. Get your savings account up to 6 months of your burn rate. Once you have that money should be placed in a high yield savings account or treasury bills. Beyond that, once you have the next 20,000, you 1,000% should go invest it. And it might not be in the way you think, and we cover that in another episode. Maybe Cole will find which one. But the way that I would invest it, or we'll link to the YouTube video we did, I'll show you the biggest investments probably in you. The investments in the very beginning when you're in your 20s are all going to be books, courses, tapes, and seminars to increase your skills to radically change your income. That's the best investment you could possibly make. Putting $20,000 in a mutual fund that hits 8% is cool. Even if it hits 10%, cool. It's out of the park. That's $2,000. So $20,000 invested over a year at a 10% rate of return is $2,000. However, if you invested $20,000 in yourself, is it possible you could make $20,000 cool? That is very possible. And so that wouldn't be 1 year. That would be every single year for the rest of your life. So always initially, and for a very long period of time, the greatest investment you will ever make will be in you. All right, and with that, we are ready to wrap. Today, we covered a lot. We talked about Tony Robbins. We talked about being a boat captain not only is one of the greatest things ever, but a tremendous real estate investment. Not a real estate investment, but a boating investment. And we went through really the difference in methodology and nuance between what I said on day one, which many people said I wasn't fair to Dave. I don't know how I could have been more fair to Dave than reading the actual information he publishes on his exact website. And so I walked through the difference in a 15-year and a 30-year mortgage, why you should always have a 30-year mortgage and pay it like 15 should you choose to do so. But you should look at the treasury bill rate compared to your 30-year mortgage and let that dictate whether you're shoving additional payments at it. And all things finance and what makes sense in real estate investing, saving up to pay cash for every single thing you do on an investment basis may not make sense. And it's actually not how any of the wealthy people that I've ever met in my entire life did it. So with that, we're wrapping up. For those that said, Cole, we'll never get to episode 0010, this one's for you. Closing out here, I'm Brett Tanner. This is Be Wealthy. I'll see you on our next episode.